Just because something's the easier way of doing stuff, or the way you've always done it, doesn't make it right, does it? Now, if you could have a single context for all your developers that required no switching whatsoever, you can increase the productivity of your development team. You can eradicate the disruption that people being on holiday or out sick has on your team by simply removing parallel work. Especially if you're already doing pair programming, you could scale that to mob programming. It's a form of swarming that means that all the team working on a single item to get it done simultaneously in the same context. That is not splitting the task up into several siloed items and people going off and asynchronously working on different sections and then trying to patch that together at the end. It's literally one keyboard, one screen, one person being the conduit of information, and the rest of the team providing backup, support, and guidance. That means that any decision can be made in the moment because all the people are there. You don't need to explain the context. They've seen what you've just done, and they're on the same page when it comes to where you're going. This means there is no handoffs between people. Everybody knows what's happening. In this scenario, you are resilient to people being off ill and encompassing new team members. The disruption of a single person being missing or an additional person being present is minimal. And because you've got that contextual backup and the whole team, it means that new developers can be there and contribute even if they've not seen the code base or are relatively unfamiliar with the system. And I'm going to start explaining this by looking at why there isn't a parallel port on your laptop. When you're communicating in parallel in terms of an interface, you will communicate all 8 bits of a single byte simultaneously. If not all of those bits reach the other end at the same point as the whole structure is read, you'll get corruption. You can try and mitigate that by having a parity bit. A parity bit works quite well when you've got a small amount of bits in your parallel interface. But that's one of the main reasons that parallel doesn't scale. Though this concept of parallel communication and a parity bit doesn't strictly map to software development or any kind of team topology, it does have an effect on how things get to the end of the road. Well, if you're finding this useful, then why not click on like? If you set off with several items from your sprint simultaneously, all being worked on independently by one or more team members, you will invariably not get all of those 2 done at the same time. The risk is that sometimes the most prestigious or priority items are taken by the senior members of the team. And they do that in good faith because those are the things that need to get done. They're senior, they're responsible. But you've got to remember, in Agile, it's a team responsibility, not an individual's. So everything that can get done should get done, and in priority order. What you sometimes see happen in that scenario is that senior developer is the one with knowledge. They get distracted by other team members working on a lesser priority. That distracts them from completing the priority item and means that the things that get done are the lesser priority things. And heroics are involved in getting those priority items over the line. This can lead to burnout. A team that's delivering things but not value. And yes, this is going to feel absolutely weird. You can't just force this on a development team. They have to choose to do it and understand why they're doing it. Once you've got the team's buy-in, they've tried it and they've got better at it. This means you get value from the team and value out of your agile process without the worry that nobody quite knows what everybody else is working on. The practice is relatively simple. You have one person sat there being the interface to the machine. They're not necessarily the person that's having the first idea. You're reliant on the rest of the team acting as a kind of consultancy panel. Everybody has a voice, everybody is entitled to an idea. This means you get feedback on the code that's been written absolutely immediately. Code is instantly peer reviewed by another set of eyes and instantly corrected if it's wrong. This will mean that you have a piece of code that is already reviewed, has followed a design that has been signed off by everybody on the team. The whole thing is a work of collaboration. The barriers to this tend to be mostly psychological. You have to have a fairly psychological, safe environment for developers to work in. They have to be in a mindset where they're not worried about people thinking they're a substandard developer. They have to be comfortable with people seeing their code and giving critique on what they're doing. Everybody has to act as grown-ups. There's no place for egos when it comes to mob programming. You can't have one voice dictating the direction of the rest of the team. Once you've got over those barriers, this should be quite a productive way of working. And the aim is to switch out the roles within the team, so everybody gets a go at being the conduit to the machine. Everybody gets a go at being the first navigator. The rest of the team are therefore considered a board of consultation. They're there to give guidance and experience. The idea is to rotate around the roles. You can do that using the standard Pomodoro technique, taking about 20 minutes or up to half an hour in each role. Why not try this video next?